Who are my top 10 characters in The Walking Dead? Let's find out. Be sure to let me know your favourite characters in the comment section below. Now, I'm not going to go into too much detail on any of these, I'm just going to give a couple reasons why they are where they are. If you do want any more detail on any of these in particular, do let me know in the comment section below and I will make a character analysis for that character. This was very, very tough for me to choose just 10 characters because I absolutely adore this show.
Really?
Several characters don't quite make the cut and I really wish they could. So if your favourite character isn't in my top 10, please don't be offended. But with all that said, let's get right into it. Coming in at number 10, I have Abraham. Abraham for me is one of them characters that's just extremely likeable, even when he maybe makes some silly decisions in the show.
Rosita!
He's absolutely hilarious with loads of funny one-liners. He has a big impact on the show and a huge role to play. And when we get to the death of Abraham, it is undermined a little bit by the death of Glenn as well. But the whole time we have Abraham on screen, he is an absolute joy to watch. He is just, as I say, hilarious. Another thing I like about Abraham is the relationship with Sasha.
Sasha?
Obviously it doesn't last very long, but just as we're building towards something good, The Walking Dead always likes to take it away from us. And that's exactly what happened with Abraham.
How do they do that?
But we love the guy, so let's move on. In at number 9, I have Father Gabriel. Now, Father Gabriel, when he first came into the show, was so annoying. He was the most unlikable character on screen at that time. Yes, even with Terminus, and they were trying to eat people.
Are you serious?
But Gabriel probably has one of the top 2 character arcs throughout the show. His development from this whiny, annoying wimp to this really badass character is just unreal, and even up to the last episode of the show, I really enjoy what they did with his character, having him finally open the gates that he never did at the church where we found him in season 5. I don't really have anything bad to say about Gabriel. I really love the guy. So annoying. He was the most unlikable character on screen at that time. Whiny, annoying wimp. I think he's only second to one other character for best character development, but we'll get into that in a second.
We'll talk about it now.
And on to number 8 is the character I think that does have the slightly better character development over the course of the 11 seasons and spin-offs, obviously. And that is Carol. When we meet Carol, Carol is a completely different character from what Carol is now in The Walking Dead. Carol might have some of the genuine best moments throughout the whole show. Where she starts off in season 1 just caring for Sophia and doing everything Ed says is a far cry from where she ends up. She is literally the most dangerous character for any villain to come across. What I really like about Carol's character is just how much involvement she has in the taking down of enemies. She literally takes out Terminus on her own, obviously then Rick and everyone get involved, but Carol started all of that with like a firework and a gun. I really enjoy Carol and Tyrese, especially in the episode The Grove, where they're obviously looking after the kids and everything kind of goes wrong with that. And then Carol is great throughout season 6 and also 7, even though I wasn't exactly the biggest fan of her sort of going away from everyone and having her own little house outside the kingdom. But by season 8, she's back to normal, she's a badass, she's incredible, and she has a huge impact in the all-out war. Few seasons, she does get a little bit annoying, particularly season 10. Obviously a huge thing happens to her in season 9, but then in season 10 she is just insufferable. And so that's why she's a little bit down on my list. A lot of people will have Carol in like the top 3. For me, she's not quite up there because she does get annoying in those last 2 seasons. However, we have got a good Carol story in the Book of Carol, and I'm excited for Daryl Dixon season 3 to get a bit more of Carol and see where she's at now. Wow, I had a lot to say about Carol. In at number 7, this one might surprise a few people, I have Negan.
Who's Negan?
Now when Negan comes in, he's an absolute horrible, horrible, evil villain, but he really, really carries season 7 of the show. He is hilarious to watch. He's a very Joker-like character. He does horrible, horrible things, but he makes you laugh. He's very charismatic. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was like the perfect cast for this. And I really like Negan, especially in season 9, 10 and 11. All the stuff with Alpha was absolutely brilliant.
Except that one!
I think they lost it a bit in season 11 where he goes off and he starts a family off screen. I feel like that kind of damaged the character a little bit. But it did give him something to care about, and then I like how that affects his dynamic with Maggie. Unfortunately though, the dynamic with Maggie is probably the reason that Negan is not as high up on the list as he could be. It feels so drawn out after a while, and obviously with Dead City I feel like that's just a repeat of the same things we've seen again. And Negan's kind of lost his spark at this point. He's had moments here and there. Obviously, like I say, in season 10, he is great. I really enjoy Here's Negan as a backstory. And I do like Negan in Dead City, but it unfortunately doesn't feel the same as it used to, and it feels a little bit forced. I will, however, say I'm excited for the future of the character of Negan. I'm very excited for what reunions he might have with characters, should we get them.
Don't give me hope.
In at number 6, I have Shane. Now this one might surprise a few people because Shane is actually only in 2 seasons of The Walking Dead, bar a cameo in season 9. But the presence of Shane is felt throughout the show. Every single decision that Rick makes following the death of Shane has Shane written all over it. Rick embraces everything that Shane was, apart from trying to steal his best mate's wife. Although he was straight after Jesse when he got to Alexandria. Anyway, everything that Shane was in season 1 and 2 is what Rick becomes as he's ready for the apocalypse. He's now the perfect survivor. You know, those scenes in season 2 where Shane is just ready to fight, ready to do whatever, and Rick wasn't there at that point. Later in season 4, 5, 6, Rick is acting exactly like Shane would. He even goes a little bit crazy just like Shane did. And in season 9 when Rick is hallucinating and he's sat in the car with Shane again, it is just so brilliant to see. I really like that sort of ends the character of Shane on a good light, because obviously the last thing we'd seen of him was him as a walker getting shot by Carl. But Shane himself is absolutely amazing when he was in the show. In season 1 it feels like he's prepared for anything, and his descent into madness in season 2 is just done to perfection in my opinion. I would even go as far as to say he is the best character in season 2. I could probably say so much more on Shane, but I am going to leave it there.
No!
In at number 5, we have Michonne. Now, Michonne wasn't always a favourite character of mine, but she's really won me over the more and more I watch the show. When she's introduced in season 3, she is just the most cool character we've met at that point. She's a very cold character, she's calm, but she's dangerous, and she's got that katana, which is just awesome.
That's true.
I think the thing I like the most about Michonne is her relationship with Carl. She is obviously a best friend to Carl, but also becomes a sort of mother figure to him. And once the Grimes 2.0 family get together, I love her relationship with Rick. I think it's brilliant. All the way through the main show, I liked Rick and Michonne together, and in The Ones Who Live, I think it was done perfectly. Michonne was also great in season 9 and 10 of the main show. Unfortunately, the way she left the show in season 10 was not very well done in my opinion.
Where did she go?
But this doesn't really impact the character herself. I think she is still absolutely amazing. I also really like the episode, I'm pretty sure it's called Scars, where her old college friend comes into it. I felt like that really benefited Michonne giving her a big episode like that. Overall, I only really have good things to say on Michonne. I think she's absolutely awesome.
Fantastic.
In at number 4, I have Herschel. Herschel's another character that's not actually in the show that long. You know, we meet him in season 2, he's in season 3, and we lose him in season 4. But in the same way Shane has an impact on Rick, I feel as though Herschel does the exact same. Herschel is everything that's good about humanity in season 3 and 4, and some of his speeches are just outstanding. I especially love the first half of season 4 of the main show, where Herschel risks his life just to save everyone, and he knows he's risking his life, but he is happy to do it because it's the right thing to do. I think the dynamic between Rick and Herschel is done brilliantly, and I also think the relationship he has with Glenn and obviously his daughters is done perfectly. Herschel is a character that I always think positively about. I don't actually think I have anything negative to say about Herschel. I also love the fact that Herschel can shout at Rick and Rick just listens. That's the impact Herschel has. And a final thing I love about Herschel is his send-off. Rick gives this amazing speech, and Herschel just looks so happy, like a proud father, as he looks at Rick and sees that he's had a good impact on him. Herschel is just a legend.
A legend.
In at number 3, I have King Ezekiel.
King Ezekiel.
Now, when I was first introduced to King Ezekiel in season 7, I was thinking, what the subscribe? It was the most different thing that The Walking Dead had seen up until that point, and we literally had cannibals in the show. But all of a sudden it felt like you were watching some sort of like weird fantasy show when you went to the kingdom, and this guy's walking around and he's got a tiger, and what? But I think it was an amazing choice to have King Ezekiel interact with Carol. Carol is one of the most real characters we have, but King Ezekiel was also one of the most real characters we have, hiding behind his fantasy alter ego. I really, really love King Ezekiel in season 8. I just think he's amazing. Every time I think of King Ezekiel, I think of And Yet I Smile. He gives such amazing speeches and has some amazing quotes. And I really like his relationship and his story about how he got Shiva. And it's very emotional when we unfortunately lose Shiva. I feel as though as well in the later seasons of The Walking Dead, he has a big impact. I do really like the storyline where Ezekiel unfortunately gets cancer because it really brings him down to earth. And when I say how real this character was, this is like an amazing example of that. I'm very, very glad that Ezekiel made it all the way to the end of the show. And I think some decisions at the end of the show were amazingly done. I really, really like the bit where he steps in front of the Commonwealth soldiers to protect Negan. This just shows how good of a human Ezekiel is. And then also I think it was a great decision to make him the governor at the end of it. Unfortunately, we've not seen anything of that, but I'm really, really hopeful that we're going to get something with the Commonwealth. Check out my other video where I talk about that.
Check it out!
I definitely want to see more Ezekiel. I think he's got a lot left to give, and I love the character. In at number 2 is Daryl. I feel like Daryl could be a lot of people's number 1 choice. He is my number 2. Everyone knows how great the character he is. He has such a big impact on the show, and he wasn't even meant to be a character in the show. Even though Daryl has a couple moments in the show where he maybe makes some silly decisions or goes down some not as great character arcs, or just doesn't talk for several episodes.
Not a great plan.
But Daryl is a character that always seems to come back on the screen stronger and better than ever, and his relationship with Rick is one of the most incredibly done brotherly relationships on TV or film. Come to think of it, I can't really think of a time where I don't like Daryl, whereas I have a bit of that with Carol. I never had that with Daryl. I think another major thing for Daryl is when Rick left the show, Daryl stepped up and he didn't just become Rick. Daryl took over as the main character in an incredible way as himself and just furthered his character arc. His care for Judith as well as everyone in his newfound family is just beautiful to watch. As well as that, I should mention his relationship with Merle earlier on, and the death of Merle and the impact that has on Daryl is just brilliantly done. Again, I don't want to talk too much on Daryl, but I also have to mention his relationship with Carol. Seeing these two as best friends on screen is The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead would not be the same without Carol and Daryl as a duo. And although Daryl Dixon Season 2, The Book of Carol, was not my favourite, it was amazing to see them back together again, and I'm excited for the 3rd season. But yeah, there's way too much to say on Daryl. I cannot cover anymore, I'm sorry about that.
Oh no!
If you want anything more about Daryl Dixon, please let me know in the comments, because it's starting to feel like that video would be like an hour long. Anyway, Daryl at number 2. That's right, in at number 1, of course, is Rick Grimes, who I am supposed to be guessing. And yes, I did get changed just to do that one little bit. Of course it is, he is absolutely amazing. There are literally 4 versions of Rick Grimes behind me. The Walking Dead just does not exist without Rick Grimes. It's a very obvious statement, but it's just so true. If Rick wasn't shot at the beginning and had to look for his family, the show just would not be the same. And I'm really not going to go too much into detail because I will have so much to say on Rick. But the story he has in the main show all the way to season 9, where he feels he's truly found his family, is just beautiful. I call a lot of things beautiful, but it's true.
Beautiful.
Rick's care and love for Carl is one of the biggest driving factors of the show. I think it's brilliant. I think as Carl becomes a better character, it also really benefits their relationship, especially in season 6 where Carl's been shot in the eye and the No Way Out storyline had passed. Rick's care and love for what he wants for the future of Carl and for Judith is just amazing. And as well in season 7 in episode 1 where Rick is so scared of what might happen to Carl at the hands of Negan, you can see what it means to Rick as he's in tears, he's scared to death of the idea of losing Carl or Carl losing his arm even. He does not want anything bad to happen to Carl because he truly loves him. It's his son.
Makes sense.
I think Rick has so many amazing badass moments where he is the Rick that everyone just absolutely loves. Season 5 Rick is just incredible. The promise that he made to Gareth from Terminus, or the policeman that he just runs over, shoots and then tells him to shut up. And even the way he treats Aaron when they first meet, it's just so well done. Rick is just such a good character. And I think that The Ones Who Live did a brilliant thing with Rick and really humanized him again. I really like the love story with Rick and Michonne. I think that is beautifully done. But I think everything it did for Rick and Michonne, of course, was amazing. I'm going to have to stop there because in the same way as I would have with Daryl, I will just continue talking about Rick for probably like hours. And we can't have that because the video would be too long. But if you want to see more about Rick, do let me know.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
But just to confirm, my number 1 choice, my favourite character in the entire Walking Dead is of course the main character of the entire Walking Dead, Rick Grimes. Not to mention a bunch of characters that probably could have made this list for me had it just been a different day, because I love so many characters in this show. We've got Carl, Dale, Morgan, the Governor, Alpha, Beta, Eugene, Aaron, Glenn, and Maggie. And that would be a top 20 characters and not a top 10, and that is way too confusing, and my mind would just blow up. Because it is so hard to put certain characters above other characters because they are just brilliant characters. But that is it, that is my top 10 characters from AMC's The Walking Dead. Like I say, let me know your favourites in the comment section below. Do you agree or disagree with my opinions? Obviously they are just my opinions, so please don't be too harsh on me. But if you did enjoy the video, please do leave a like and subscribe for more Walking Dead content in the future. Thank you very much for watching. I've been The Walking Dan. See you later.